on the exchange, she could receive her Bitcoin or cryptocurrency that she would get paid in for her work. Once she gets the Bitcoin, she didn't wanted to really have Bitcoin or crypto in her possession. She wanted to change it to the local currency. So what we did was we registered her, received her coins. As soon as the coins were received, there was a setup on her account to go straight into a change to INR. So she had set up her account and her bank details. As soon as she would receive X amount of cryptocurrency, that would get changed in INR and it will get deposited in her bank account. So the ease in terms of how we can use cryptocurrency for future payments is like very clear. You can receive your payments with anyways. You don't really have to wait for the banks or Western Union or MoneyGram, some of those exchanges to help you. Here with this, you can straight away like it. The more user friendly it is, the more better it is eventually. So for the people who were sending her the crypto, it was very easy for them because they were just like sending her money for her work, without going through the hassle of the banks and everything. And it was more instant. So for her also, when she received her crypto here, it was instantly changed to INR and she received her INR in her bank account. So that way, this benefits a lot. So yeah, that was one of the questions. So let me see. We are live on Facebook and also on YouTube and on Instagram. Uh, we actually answer the questions as in when they come. We do have a few questions that was there before, which is mostly answered. If there's anyone have similar questions, you can just say here. I can answer it here again. Hi there. I think we have some followers on Facebook who's coming up. I think there's no questions yet, but hello there. So we had a lot of followers on our meetup actually, who had RSVP'd. Say close to 300 people on just in crypto we trust. Uh, we're just waiting for them to join online and then probably come up with their questions. So a lot of people wanted to join the market, Bitcoin market. I mean to say cryptocurrency market. And understand how it works. What I think what they're trying to say is about the trading and those kind of markets. Uh, Cryptocurrency is just like any other shares or any other commodity trading. In crypto, the trading becomes very easy is because you're depositing of crypto and withdrawing of crypto and liquidating it is more quicker and more easier compared to your existing shares or any other. So we do have one of the persons who's messaging, and I'm not able to see his questions clearly. Well, I did now. So yeah, we are talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, like your question is. Do get on to our live channel, and you write your questions there, and you'll be able to see the questions and answer accordingly. So Abhishek has got a question. He says, "Where do you see Bitcoin from here in a year's time?" That's a very good question. In a year's time, Bitcoin is going to have more adoption, more acceptance around the world. Uh, that's for sure. Bitcoin being the first experiment on the blockchain or the first ever cryptocurrency people have understood. It holds X amount of value, and also it has a lot of um, adoption in ways like it's accepted worldwide. It's got more payment gateways been built around it, wallets been built around it, exchanges been built around it. So those things make it very popular and very affordable. In terms of price, it might not be very affordable because the price just like takes its shape however it likes. In a way, the adoption of Bitcoin makes the price jump. So from last price jump, which was in 2013 to now in 17, we see a lot more adoption now. So the price has suddenly shot up again, like 4 to 5 times. It has actually touched 8 times. Pardon me. It was around 1,200. It's close to 8,000 today. So 7.5, 8 times. That's a lot of increase. So yeah, that's the future of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So we do have some more questions which I'm not able to. Yeah, I just got it. So there's a question. It says, "How do we withdraw Bitcoin if the Indian government bans it?" That's a that's kind of a question which only the Indian government can answer you right now. Are they going to ban it first of all or not? Uh, to me, how it looks like, if you're following our indie crypto channel, you can clearly see there's a latest post that we've made. We've made about BillDesk. I don't know how many people have heard about BillDesk. BillDesk is this place where you can, it's very popular in India. A lot of people use BillDesk for making sure that their bills are being paid and everything. And it's a very popular site. And they themselves have started an exchange called Coinomi. So why I mention this is because BillDesk is being regulated by RBI and two main banks, which is one of them is SBI, very huge banks. If they are supporting something like this, obviously they are pro Bitcoin. Why they have to be pro Bitcoin is because you have to be pro technology, right? You have to embrace the new technology that's coming up. The first ever experiment is Bitcoin. It's just it's just the beginning of it. Your blockchain is going to prove itself by many more of experiments like Bitcoin, which we have as Ethereum and IOTA and those kind of variations. What I mean by variation is in Ethereum, you're not just sending and receiving value on the blockchain. You're also able to timestamp any kind of contract or any kind of document, photograph, video on it instantly. What that also helps with is IP, intellectual property. You don't have to go into the intellectual existing property ladder, which takes about a year or two for you to get registered and record your invention. In Ethereum, you are able to just take a picture of your video or a picture of your document that you have that you want to timestamp it. That can be done instantly. If you have a video or an audio that you produce, you can timestamp it and register to you instantly. Those are a few features that's already there with blockchain upgrade. There's also something like IOTA. IOTA is just another value transfer blockchain setup. What that does is allows you to build an IOTA. uh, I mean to say IoT. So what I mean by that is Internet of Things. You build something on Internet of Things, and with Internet of Things, you need to have automatically transferring value across. IOTA cryptocurrency promises to do that. So those are like the real innovation that's happened already, and there's many more to come. So there's another valid question Kedar has. They say they have a question about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So, what is the main difference, and how is it more accepted, or which is more accepted? And they're also saying is Bitcoin Cash more accepted is because it does more transactions and its transaction confirmation times are quicker. Well, to start with, both are exactly the same in technology right now. Uh, in small difference with technology is Bitcoin itself has just 1 MB, like the way it started from the protocol from the beginning. It holds 1 MB worth of transactions, and Bitcoin Cash holds about 8 MB worth of transactions. So that's the upgrade that Bitcoin Cash received at the time of the fork. So Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin does more or less a transaction at the same time. It's 10 minutes for every block to move. So it does the same amount of time for a transaction. The only difference is right now Bitcoin being more popular because it's been there since ages. A lot more people are trying to transact and send and receive Bitcoin. Because the block size is just 1 MB, you have to be paying a little bit more fees to get into the block on a priority basis. So your fees could be a slightly higher. For the sake of the value of Bitcoin being like almost 5, 10 times more than Bitcoin Cash, I think what we pay in fees is very minuscule. A lot of people use Bitcoin not just as a payment, currency or value transfer currency. They usually use it as an investment, as an asset. When you do that, I don't think the little amount that you pay as mining fee is much at all. As for Bitcoin Cash is concerned, Bitcoin Cash is a split from the main Bitcoin. At the time when fork happened, the reason they did that is to help more, value transfer and quick value transfer to happen. Because what happened with Bitcoin was because there were more people using this and there's only one MB, there was a lot of waiting period that was happening. Some people had to wait for like hours. With Bitcoin Cash, they're trying to curb that. That's one of the main changes. With Bitcoin Cash, you're able to send same like how Bitcoin is sent. Because the blocks is bigger, you're able to send for lesser fee and a quicker transaction time. So that's just one of those changes that's there. Otherwise, the mining and everything is the same for Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Your mining tools are all ASIC tools. You can like switch between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. A lot of miners are now taking advantage of having two currencies mined together, or I would say mined next to each other. Like one, they would be mining Bitcoin and they can switch instantly and start mining Bitcoin Cash, whichever is profitable for them. It's left to them because they spend a lot of money and hardware, a lot of cost goes into it. I think they're getting a great returns for that. So we've got a lot more questions coming in on YouTube, I must say.
So Pranav Ram wants to ask, what do you think about Tangle and other DAGs such as Hypergraph and consensus algorithm?
So, very nice question. Actually, Tangle is just another type of Bitcoin block. Sorry, not Bitcoin. I would say blockchain. It's a way they built to not have any, transaction fees in it. Uh, the one of the things about the transaction fee is it might fluctuate, it might go up and down. And in IoT, which is Internet of Things, if you want to set up something and you want to fix a particular price for the transaction fee, it might vary later. So with Tangle, I think that difficulty is also gone, because with Tangle it's free transactions. Uh, in IoT, which is Internet of Things, when you make transactions, you don't really lose any value. So whatever let's say a small example is how a fridge can order for the drinks that it ran out. Like your fridge could be a vending machine. Say a vending machine and a fridge together is vending out the drinks, and its protocol has been set to a threshold of, say, it drops to 10% or less, it can order by itself. So the fridge orders for these drinks by itself. It can get delivered by a drone. Again, no human is interacting there. The drone just like delivers it, and the fridge will accept those drinks into the system. While making the payment, it'll be making the payment through Tangle. If it did through Tangle, there'll be no fees. And this is just one small example. I think IoT is very huge. If once it's everything is set, and at that stage, I think we will need something like Tangle to move value around. So I have a question from Pramod here, which says it's still profitable for Bitcoin or other proof of work cryptocurrencies. So you have to understand Bitcoin works on ASIC. If your ASIC hardware can mine any other crypto, you can switch between those. It is always profitable. If it is not profitable, they wouldn't have had it sustained this long. At certain times, it is not profitable for sure. The reason why I say that is because you have to be geographically located in an advantageous position. If you're in a cold region today, like Scandinavian countries and Russia and a lot of Northern America, people run mining machines because for them there's a less cost on cooling the systems, because there's quite a bit of cooling that's happening, because of the outsides in your location. In Siberia, I think they're using this heating into the housing, and then you can warming up the house and everything. So that's a great place. Along with that, there is also an advantage these guys have. The advantage these guys have is the electricity or the energy that they're using is cheaper compared to if you set up the same thing in India. In India, the energy is not cheap. You cannot just like mine and then being profitable, and you cannot cut that fine line. You have to know that it's a long-term thing for India, and places like India, like which have a little bit of disadvantage in terms of energy costs, in terms of the electricity, in terms of your heating and everything. The government has to take initiative. The government has to come up and then set up at a government level some mining tools and help the public of the country understand there is some mining also that's been taking place in that country, so that it's easier for the cryptocurrency to circulate in its own geography location, because today we have price differences between each countries because of the demand and supply. According to economics, if demand and supply is higher in particular region, like India always has this higher demand for crypto than the supply. Because of that, the price is a little higher. It's always premium when compared to other regions. So that kind of advantage is there if you learn about all these details.
So Priyank Sharma asks, which is the next altcoin on the path to become the next Bitcoin besides Ethereum, and especially with the lower difficulty of mining at the moment. So he wants to know which is the next coin that will become Bitcoin.
So I was just thinking about that. What's the next that's in right behind Bitcoin? Uh, for all of us, we know what's right behind Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin Cash. So if not Bitcoin, Bitcoin's baby will be the next success. That's how it looks right now. But you can never tell. With time and with how these cryptocurrencies really help in the real scenarios, like real examples of everyday life. It has to solve some kind of a problem that we have in the existing system. The existing system does not have a problem with finance, but it does a little bit in terms of it's being very centralized. So that's how Bitcoin came and broke the barriers, and it became really popular and pricey. Two other coins to come up. So for the other coins to come up as good as Bitcoin, they might have lost the race in terms of being the first ones. So we've already like quite a bit into the cryptocurrency market. That means Bitcoin came in 2009 beginning. Today we are in 2017, almost like 9 years after. So what other currencies might be as popular, but they might not gain that kind of value. Uh, you know, from the existing ones, it could be like Dash, Litecoin. If they promise really instant transactions. I know on the block it shows instantly, but the block moves a little late. I'm not really worried about that. What I'm worried about is if they upgrade themselves to a bigger block and then eventually serve all those customers who come into Litecoin or Dash. If they do that, they could be competing with Bitcoin Cash. First you have to compete with Bitcoin Cash, and then you can compete with Bitcoin. So the price of Bitcoin Cash is also very high. That's what I mean. So that's the stage we are at.
So and Pranav just came back on the Tangle part. So he says, can IOTA be the next big thing? Because Tangle will have very or no transaction fees.
Yeah, yeah. So what he means by that is, let me explain to other users, other followers here. Tangle is just the way of how the new type of blockchain has been set up, and it is used by this cryptocurrency called IOTA. Uh, the question is, will that be the most popular? Yes, it can be most popular. Like Bitcoin, it also has to go through those hurdles of how it can scale itself to everybody and all those, Internet of Things or the updates that's happening in the world. In a way, I read about a few things about IOTA and Tangle. It does its transactions instantaneously, but still there is a lot of waiting period for a few people that they have sent their IOTA, and it's taking almost like 10 hours, 12 hours a day for it to be confirmed. What I mean by being instantaneous and still they don't have it confirmed means the transaction happens instantaneously. That means in your wallet it will show this, yes, you have IOTA on your wallet. But by the time you actually want to spend that, you have to make sure the confirmation is complete so that you have the currency in your wallet to forward it to another place. So that is taking a little time. So Tangle and IOTA is to just work on these things. It's good that they have these kind of issues, because at this stage, if you don't have any of these issues, you really don't know how it will be successful in the future, or like how it can scale itself. These small things I think can be adjusted and understood and then fixed. I think the developers are working on it. I'm hoping to see it grow, and then eventually be one of the ways of how blockchain is getting popular, and Tangle also can be really popular.
So the next question from Kedar is,
Yeah.
if you're using a fee wallet app, like a mobile wallet or something, I guess, and if you're moving Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash and back, will
Mm-hmm.
there be any tax implications? when you eventually sell it for rupees?
So when you move from crypto to crypto, you're talking about Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash. So it could be any wallet. First of all, all your wallets will charge you a fee because your wallet is not the one which is doing the transaction. It's actually the network. The network charges a fee, and your wallet is just helping you pay that fee and then go through the network and finish the transaction. The reason I said that is because you're trying to move Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash. So when you do that, you want to move it to an exchange like Changely or Shapeshift, who will change it for you for a small fee. You first have to send it to them. If you already have it there, then you don't have to pay network fee. You change it to Bitcoin Cash, and then you can put it back into Bitcoin. I would say the issue of your tax and the gains that you would have from it, if you want to pay like whatever you call it, like gains tax,
Capital gains tax.
capital gains tax, that happens only when you change that to local currency, right? When you change it to local currency and have it in your bank account, then that's when you have to pay. Just disclose it to your CA, just like how you would do in a existing share market system. See, existing share markets, you're holding the shares until unless you don't sell the shares and take it out in rupees, you're not really paying any tax. So once, if you think your share has gone 10 times and you're changing it to rupees and taking it back in your bank, once it lands in your bank, you want to pay that amount of tax for that, extra that you got.
Okay, and
Yeah, another question.
yeah. Suresh asks, what do you think about BitConnect? And can he trust BitConnect to invest his money?
So what does he mean by BitConnect? Is he
BitConnect is basically another altcoin. So it's like an investment scheme where you invest your Bitcoin, and you'd have to refer few people,
okay?
and you in turn earn more Bitcoin and other stuff through
So
that.
in that, I'm sorry that I have not heard of this as much,
Bitcoin
but
was actually on CoinMarketCap at number 7. It dropped significantly because of that.
okay,
Because I think there was a lot of speculation surrounding the first you have to invest Bitcoin and then
exactly.
refer people. And
So that means that you're losing your private key, and your private key is held by the BitConnect guys.
yes,
I cannot take a call on this. So once you leave your private keys with somebody else, and if they promise you to give you anything more than what the market is giving you, say you're holding your Bitcoin in an exchange or in a wallet where the exchange or the wallet holds your private key, that means they are in charge of your Bitcoin. If they are in charge of your Bitcoin and if they're not giving you any interest on it, and all that interest or the extra that you're getting is the way Bitcoin itself is growing in value, that's what is the existing model. And the BitConnect, if they're asking you to submit your private keys to them, that means they own the Bitcoin. And if they're going to ask you to leave it with them for a small profit, which is your like the investment kind of a thing, I'm not too sure in it about that particular thing. I'll have to really like talk to those people who are founders of this and see, understand, or wait for some time to see how the existing users are benefiting out of it. Let's do some more research on it. The person who's asked question, I'm sorry, I don't know the name.
it was Suresh.
Suresh, you will have to do some more research on it and find out yourself. Probably by next or another meetup after that, we'll be able to answer this more clearly on it.
Okay. So the next question is, what are your views on the recent flood of ICO offerings?
Okay, so ICO offering is also something very dicey. Okay, what is ICO? ICO is your initial coin offering. This is like your IPO, if I may compare it to initial public offering of share market. Initial public offering of a share market comes into a play only when the market is doing well with the company that is set up. The company has got great products and people are able to see it and they invest in that. With ICO, what's happening is a lot of people just coming up with their own idea of cryptocurrency. They might have not even developed a cryptocurrency. They might not even give you the details of how much is the number of cryptocurrencies that's ever going to be produced. What's the market cap of they're expecting? What is the cap of the high numbers of that particular crypto? What kind of algorithm it's going to use? How secure the network is? How are they proving that? All those things come into play. So if you are trying to invest in an ICO, you have to be careful about all this, because so far that we have seen in this recent past, almost like 80 to 90% of these ICOs are not doing well. So you're investing into something that might not even take off in a year's time. So you're actually spending your money into another kind of cryptocurrency which you think might become like Bitcoin. See, for that, you're already too late. In a way, you can't just trust something that might just come up like that, because it has to have certain rules to follow and certain, protocols, and being open source, being decentralized, being, fixed in the high numbers of ever, the number of crypto that ever going to be produced under that banner. All that has to be scrutinized by the people and developers around the world. The technology itself has to be open source so that it can be listed on something like GitHub, where other technology guys can see what's happening with this new ICO. When you follow all that and you understand it, only then invest into these ICOs. Otherwise, like I said, 80 to 90% of these ICOs are not taking off. And these ICOs, they are doing the same thing what others have already done. Like Bitcoin is already there to help you invest in a cryptocurrency. If you're bringing in another cryptocurrency to make people helping people to invest, you might not be as good as that, right? So you already have a Bitcoin market. If you want to, go into the ICO market, you have to make sure you let it, stay for a little while, for a few years, for a few months at least, and then up to a year or two, see how it performs. Is it really like held by all the people, or just the founders are holding more and they're trying to do dump and pump kind of a thing on the exchange to get more money out of that? So those kind of things a lot of people are doing. So you just have to watch out.
Okay, and the next question is Priyank asks, but isn't the concept of cryptocurrency to be anonymous? So how can the government even know if I bought, uh, say, Bitcoin?
Okay, that's a great question. Everybody asks this. Isn't cryptocurrency anonymous? No, cryptocurrency is not anonymous. If you want to use something fancy word like that, you can use pseudonymous. Pseudonymous is the name or the word, right word for it. That means if you are profiled and if you specifically one particular address has to be searched on the online, it can be done. So you can be tracked. Why it is possible is because everything that you do online is trackable. It leaves a print somewhere or the other. It leaves a track. If somebody is really smart and if is a good developer, he'll be able to track you down. All you need is like one address wherever you've sent or you received from. uh, that particular address is good enough for them to track you and profile you and find you. So what I say is, use your cryptocurrency wisely, use it for all the good things, like how we use internet for all the good things, because internet is exactly like how cryptocurrency is today, right? Internet can also be used for by bad apples, and that's what it was presumed to be in the early 90s when when internet was new. So we don't want to give that chance to the government. We don't want to use cryptocurrency for all these things. There are some people who still do that. I think they are trying to use your regular fiat currency for that, because fiat currency is 100% anonymous. You know that, right? If I paid you a 500 rupee note, or a $100 bill, you can never tell where it, you can never prove that where it came from and who gave it to you and what that is about. That's completely anonymous. You have to understand the difference. Bitcoin is not completely anonymous. You have to use Bitcoin wisely.
Okay, and the next question is Pranav asks, you would have to pay 17% of GST while buying and selling cryptocurrency. And what's your stand on double taxation on Bitcoin in India?
It's something completely new to me. I don't know about this taxation. The way you're saying 17%, I don't know where you got the figures from. There could be a 17% charge on those people who are, supplying you with cryptocurrency. That means these exchanges, if the exchanges profit X amount of money, there is a tax on that, and the exchanges have to declare and then pay those taxes. That's happening. Uh, that's the way it's going on and going forward so far. I guess if you're able to like have a exchange and then have this set up by yourself, just make sure that you are going to be subject to tax, and then you have to disclose all that revenue that you earn and then pay tax accordingly.
And Rishi asks, I want to know the Indian government reaction on how they're looking at these cryptocurrencies. Are they planning to regulate them?
Indian government is definitely planning to regulate them. Supreme Court has already passed an order to regulate that. and ask the existing or the departments or the organization that's going to be taking part or in regulating this, like RBI and SEBI and all those things. So those institutions have already been informed to regulate it in ways of banning or not banning, and being what's the stand on it. The government has given a clear stand on it that it's going to do a wait and watch policy. We all know that what it means. Wait and watch is something the government like Indians to use and try, not to abuse it. By that, they will be able to understand, is it really worth it to be regulated and allowed for Indians to be using. Eventually, this wait and watch policy was set in 2013. Now it's 17. We are 4 years from then. The reason they've not said anything very drastic about it is because they know it's a technology which has to be allowed by to the public, or allowed by the government for the public to see how it takes its shape. Um, right now, it's all about the new way of how the blockchain is developing. Right, blockchain is being implemented by all parties. I'm talking about IT companies, banks, big institutions. If they are going into it, you have to allow the technology to get into the mainstream and then look into regulation. But you never know how Indian government wants to regulate it. If they want to regulate it before that, also they can. Uh, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Okay. And Suresh asks, for beginners, what will you suggest? Trading or holding?
Okay, very clear answer, it is holding. The reason it is holding is because if you don't hold it, you cannot trade with it. So first will be holding. If you hold it, then you understand what cryptocurrency is about. Hold it for a few months, if you want years also, and then you can start trading. But at least you hold and see how it works on your phone, on your wallets. A lot of people, including me, have learnt about crypto at a larger extent only after holding this crypto. Trading is, of course, the next part of it. Once you hold, and then you like the technology, you like what you're doing, and then you understand a little bit how you hold it and how you secure your crypto on your wallets, on your phone, on your paper wallets. You read about that a little bit more after acquire your currency. Then you can, of course, get into trading. Trading is like share market, right? If you are aware of what's the market about, then you can definitely profit from it. So same way, if you are aware of what cryptocurrency is about and your markets around it, then you can definitely trade in a profitable manner.
So the second part of the question was, if I hold it for a long period, how can I invest when the Bitcoin goes down?
Okay, so if you want to already think that Bitcoin is going to go down, then you just have to hold it till it goes up back again. So if you know the trend already, then it might even go up, right? We cannot guess the trend. So holding is, of course, the first part. After holding, plus or minus fluctuation always going to be in play. Uh, that's when you will learn about the market also, right? So you learn about the market, then you know, okay, it's going to go high, it's going to go low, or what's the trend of this fluctuation that it happens. Of course, if you're really good at it, you can go into trading quickly enough within a few days.
Okay. And Saurabh asks a question.
Hmm.
Despite India being such a huge cryptocurrency market, why aren't there many good exchanges? Also, most exchanges only have options of trading Bitcoin, Ethereum at max, unlike China, Korea, US, and other countries.
Okay. So Bitcoin is just another country. You have to understand we are quite ahead of a lot of other countries. You cannot just compare ourselves to China and a few nations who are so advanced in your chip manufacturers. So if they are a chip manufacturer, they're going to have more hardwares. More hardware will have more currency. More currency will have more trading platforms. See, if you are mining 100 bitcoins a day, where are you going to sell those 100 bitcoins? You have to have an equivalent exchange. So those are all go hand in hand. That's how China is bigger. We don't have to look at that, and then like how we have bullet train now after like 30 years of Japan having it, we cannot cry about it. Our bullet train was already there in Japan, and why not here? So we have to understand what is our scenario. Indian scenario is all about technology and building technology and developers around it. There are many. They've just not been tapped enough in a way. They're not into the blockchain technology. That's the advantageous part of the Indian market. In terms of price, in terms of exchanges, in terms of the volume, we will catch up soon. Indian government, like I said, once it gets some kind of regulation on things, they will understand themselves that if they have regulated it positively, we have to have some kind of mining equipment in set up at the government level. Once we have that, we will have bigger exchanges, because what will the government do with those bitcoins? They have to liquidate it for whatever reasons, if they want to have it. So all that is like an ecosystem which will develop with time.
Okay. And Saurabh asks another question. Do you feel that the cryptocurrency markets are manipulated by rich people?
Well, what is not manipulated today by the rich people? Everything. So today everything is manipulated, because if you have 10 times more, you can use the 10 times more value of whatever that you hold in terms of in the trading platform to manipulate a little bit. But you have 1,000 times more, you can manipulate more. What is happening today in the financial markets, in the existing share market finance, there is high level of manipulation. It is so high that at New York Stock Exchange, we call it NYSE. A lot of people love that word, because they say NYSE part of Bangalore we are working for. They're very proud of it. Okay, it's great. You have to be proud of it. But you should understand what kind of level of manipulation that happens through NYSE. NYSE runs something called high frequency trading machines. These trading machines are not easily available for everybody, because they have a lot of money. They bought these trading machines and they run trading machines ahead of you. That means by the time you go and execute an order, your particular product or a commodity or a share, the orders are already been executed and you will be buying at a premium. So you'll lose out. That's the manipulation that's already happening. There are manipulation at a level where they buy bots. These bots do such great jobs online that they research around all over the world on this particular name of this shares or commodity, and it does buying and selling by itself. When it understands, the more people are talking about it, that this particular product is going to go up, the bots are already doing this job, and by the time you go and execute an order, you're already buying it at a premium. So these are the small ways of how people do manipulation, the rich guys, which is NYSE at this time. They even have their computer building, like where they have all these hardware set up. They bought a building right next to the internet hub in New York, just so that they get an edge over nanoseconds, so that they can fool you that you're actually executing an order, and that computer would have already bought the shares and selling you at a premium. So that level of manipulation is already happening in the existing finance. More clearly, what you can see is in terms of how the number of dollars or number of yuan has been printed in their own country and flooded into their markets, so that their market and their existing system can be bigger than the others. That kind of manipulation is 1,000 or 10,000 times more than the cryptocurrency manipulation for today. So at least with cryptocurrency, what we have is only a few people who hold more crypto are able to do a little bit of dump and pump and those kind of things on the exchange, and able to manipulate a little bit. If you see, the manipulation is very, very less to the existing system. Existing system where we are now today working on is already highly manipulated. So even though this crypto market is so huge, and you're saying, okay, that can also be as huge as this manipulation. No, it cannot be, because if you understand, the highest numbers of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are held by different set of people. It's not those people who are on the high jobs of the finance or your share market officials, because they are been there, done that, and they know how to do all this. These guys, like, I can vouch and talk about crypto in terms of Bitcoin. When Bitcoin came in new, the people who were following Bitcoin were all the technology related guys who were open in terms of being fair players in terms of the economy and your profit and not your profit, your demand and supply. And when these guys were the ones who were holding the maximum amount of Bitcoin, and I don't see as much manipulation happening. So I know what your question is. There's a little bit of manipulation, but that's nothing what we are experiencing in the current financial and share market system.
Okay. Sachin asks, not all eggs should be put in one basket. Is this rule applying to cryptocurrency as well? If yes, what are the baskets should investor hold? Please give us 3 to 4 good cryptos.
Okay, there are many, more than 3 to 4, but in a way, if you see the trend of cryptos, one follows the other. There is a daddy, which is the Bitcoin. If you are investing in Bitcoin, definitely if Bitcoin rises, everything else rises. So that way you don't have to like spread it around in many it's like make it diverse. But if you still want to go diverse, you have to understand it should be a little different for it to be as big as Bitcoin. Like Ethereum is one, your Dashcoin is one, your Litecoin is just a clone of Bitcoin with 4 times more in terms of volume and in 4 times less in terms of time. Also a great currency because it was there since the beginning. Dogecoin is one of them because Dogecoin is very small and fractional in terms of the value. So you can use in numbers, like you can pay in one Doge as tip along with the fee, and then you can use that fee as also one Doge. Those are one of the similar types like Bitcoin. The slightly different ones are like your IOTA, which is made for Internet of Things. There are other currencies backed by real-time issues like real-time economic conditions of the world, which is like backing with something like your education or your medical or something like that. Those currencies also to be looked into, and once you have those currencies at a certain stage, if they're really solving some international problems that is there in the existing world, you can of course start following those currencies too, and then spread your portfolio into that.
Okay, and Tavir asks, is there any advanced technology of Bitcoin called DAG technology?
DA?
DAG.
That's a good question. I've never heard of that. That's something we will look into it. Uh, Totally new for us too.
Okay, and he also asked a previous question saying, what is exactly mining cryptocurrency? It's selling cryptocurrency to new people and attached to a mathematical algorithm or blockchain. He wants to know what happens in the background.
Okay, mining is just nothing but the new cryptocurrencies being brought into existence and brought into the system. Like how you would mine for any metal or gold, you would literally dig deeper into the earth to mine these metals and bring them out. So similarly, the computers do this job. Computers are not digging into the earth. Computers are digging into the internet and the network of the particular cryptocurrency. Let's talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin being the master of your proof of work and algorithm and mining. So the first one ever that was. So when Bitcoin started in 2009, January 6th, there were a few computers that were mining. What that means is there were a few CPUs connected to each other. Between these CPUs was the network of Bitcoin. Between these few people who are using their computers and allowing their computing power to be used by the Bitcoin network were the ones who were doing the mining. So the mining was done by the CPUs for the first stage. The mining of Bitcoin allowed these guys to get 50 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. That means you have, say, 10 computers connected together. 10 computers does transactions between each other. So one computer is in US, another one is in China. So one computer sent Bitcoins to the other guy. When that guy received it, the mining computer which was in between helped the transaction move from one place to another. When it did that, first of all, it had to fight with other, say there are 8 other computers. It was fighting with the other 8 computers to find this transaction for itself, so that if it solved the transaction, it would get that 50 Bitcoins. So there is a fight between that. What is that fight? It's called a mining, there's no particular word for it, but it's like the way this computers are actually looking for the block. The way they look for the block is nothing but a lock and key kind of a process. If your lock is a number lock and your number lock is a 3-digit number lock, you have to find the answer for the 3-digit number lock. You will start from 001 to 999. So you'll have to set the numbers to 001, try to unlock the key. It'll not unlock, then 002, then you will eventually go on till 999. So by that process, eventually one of the numbers will unlock. That's what these computers are trying to do. So these computers don't have just 3 digits. I'm not too sure exactly how many digits were there at the time of the beginning, but it is very high today. Today it's about close to 50 or more characters. When there are 50 or more characters, it becomes very, very hard. How do I explain that is, if you have a lock with 3 digits, you will try from 0 to 999, which is 999 times. So 999 times, if you try that lock, one of them will definitely open that. But if you add another character to it, make it a 4-digit lock, then you will have to try 9,999 times. It's 10 times more painful. because you'll have to come up with more tests and more tries. So that's why these 8 computers, with all the 8 computers together and also individually, will come up with these numbers, and whichever number matches the lock is the block. If your key is right and the lock and the key matches, it'll unlock. What it unlocks is the particular computer which came up with that random number will match with this block. The block gets solved by this computer. Means what it does is it writes the transactions for that last 10 minutes. Whoever did the transactions, their transactions will get completed. Their amount of bitcoins was 25, it dropped to 20 because they sent 5 to this address. It just writes the ledger. After writing the ledger, that particular computer will also get a benefit of 50 new bitcoins being produced. That's what is mining is. So in a real world, your mining is you're literally with your hardware going deep into the ground. Here with your hardware, you are digging into the network, and first of all trying to get the block by looking for this particular number. All these computers today are actually doing just that job. For me, it looks like a real stupid job, but your ASIC computers, which are really fast today, are coming up with close to 10,000 tries per second. So that means your particular computer came up with 10,000 different unique numbers, checked it with the original block, saw if it is matching or not. If it doesn't match, it discards, and it comes up with again a new one, tries, match, discards. That's what these computers are doing today, and that's how it wins a block.
Okay, and the next question is by Pranav again.
Okay.
Says Bitcoins are not being used in the way they are envisioned practically speaking. They are reduced to digital assets. Total transactions of Bitcoin was only 11 million.
Total number of transactions, is he saying it's 11 million?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just probably the way it scales itself. If you had to see Visa and MasterCard, they started sometime somewhere in 1950s. At the time when they started, they might have had just 100 transactions per day. So today they have 1 billion transactions, but that's how they scale themselves. Today Bitcoin is also in that level. It might have just 11 million transactions, but eventually in the future it's going to scale itself. Bitcoin itself doesn't have to scale. Bitcoin is trying to fix a problem of value transfer on the world. Easy, smooth, and instant. That can be done with any other crypto. Bitcoin just showed the path. It's about the other currencies to come up with a way it can all. So there is one query question I wanted to Hashgraph.
Yeah, Hashgraph. What's your opinion on Hashgraph?
Can you explain that a little bit, Praju? Because I know hash algorithm, the way a hash comes up in your block, but what does he mean by the hash graph?
So Hashgraph is the new alternative to the blockchain that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It basically uses a gossip protocol, and that every node in the Hashgraph can be spread with signed information. It's called events, so that the transactions are more fast and more like 250,000 plus transactions per second, and it has got a unique time stamping consensus time stamping method as well, and the security is also said to be at bank rate as well, but there are few speculations that Hashgraph can replace blockchain altogether.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because of this, but the scalability of Hashgraph is higher compared to blockchain. Yeah. But we'll not be able to tell that until Hashgraph comes out to the public and faces the same situations that blockchains have faced.
Okay.
Only then we'll know what the real life scenarios of Hash this thing is.
Something that I understand from you is like it's under the hood still.
Yeah.
It's not open source, so that people can test the codes and see the codes and then understand how secure the codes are or how decentralized they are. Yeah. That's not yet come up.
A lot of people are testing it, but it's not come to a scale of blockchain, because blockchain is so much popular, because it's taken so many years for blockchain to become popular, to improve itself. Hashgraph might also maybe it can replace blockchain, but it might have to take its own time and come up with the challenges and stuff.
Definitely. If you're thinking Hashgraph could be the next thing, just make sure the Hashgraph has got an open source algorithm or your protocol. The protocol has to be listed on GitHub so people can see and test it themselves in their own computers and see how secure it is and everything. Those things are still a long way then. So we'll probably cover it again in our future meetups.
Okay, and Pranav asks again, it is the continuation of his previous question about 11 million transactions.
Mm-hmm.
He says, generally speaking, assets generally depreciate and gold is a great exception.
Yeah.
How do you think Bitcoin will sustain?
So when you say gold is an exception, can you understand why the gold is an exception? Is because it's decentralized, precious metal. So the reason it's an exception is because it is, uh, when you say as an asset and a commodity, it has come up with its high numbers. You cannot just produce another 100 tons of gold just like that. So because you cannot produce it just like that, it holds a value. Because it holds a value, the value will not drop, it will only increase because adoption keeps increasing day by day. So you used gold as a good example. So why I used gold again now with your conversation is because Bitcoin is also addresses digital gold. Why? Is because it has those properties of gold. Means your high numbers of Bitcoin is capped. Because the high numbers are capped, only the value keeps growing. Value minded, this is the word that I'm saying now, and you're a very few people who are listening to this. Bitcoin will raise to a lot in number, in value. It'll go into crores. The reason it will go is because its high numbers are capped, and there are only 21 million Bitcoins. Already 16.5 million Bitcoins produced. You are, please learn about how it was produced, how much was distributed in the first 4 years. You will know about it a little bit more in detail. Till that time the whole globe adopts to Bitcoin, the value will keep increasing. So I would say the whole globe will adopt to Bitcoin probably at least 10 years from now, or 15 years. So the next 10-15 years, the price of Bitcoin will keep rising.
Okay, and Saurav asks that since Buildesk has now come up with Coinomi Exchange, can we expect more payment gateways surrounding cryptocurrencies? I think
Yeah.
there were already payment gateways being produced by CoinSecure and Unocoin,
Yes.
which paid out the companies in fiat, which removed the volatility risk.
Yes, yes.
And when it came to CoinSecure's payment gateway, it was actually provided by BitPay itself.
BitPay collaborated with them, I
BitPay
guess.
collaborated with CoinSecure and provided particular gateway. But yeah, it didn't become that popular because not many people are using cryptocurrencies at the moment for payments. They're only using it for storing assets and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. For
So,
trading, I think
for
trading and asset management with cryptos is bigger in India, definitely. People, once they get hold of it, because they know the difficulty in buying, they don't want to just spend it because they have credit cards, they have cash, they have bank transfer, everything is available for them to spend. So I know what you're saying. There could be more adoption into payment gateways and using it as payments in future. I think companies like Buildesk, and once they have the exchange and they're coming up and making it more mainstream adoption, eventually future we will have more of people using it as also as payments, and then these payment gateways will take a shape then.
Okay. Okay.
So I will explain a little bit more in payment gateways how these exchanges are working on. So because I think a similar kind of question. So what happens with payment gateways is you receive in Bitcoin. If somebody pays you in Bitcoin, and once you receive it in Bitcoin, the volatility of Bitcoin is high and low. It fluctuates really randomly and instantly, in within seconds. So if a company does not want to see this volatility risk, they don't want to take the risk, and they don't understand the risk, and what they need is just say X amount of product is 1,000 rupees, and they receive this 1,000 rupees worth of crypto for their product. Their crypto of 1,000 rupees will not come to you directly. Like Prajwal was just saying about CoinSecure, it will go directly to CoinSecure if you have an account there. What happens at CoinSecure if you set up your payment gateway along with your registration and account is that your particular crypto that comes to you as a payment product, for a product as a payment, it instantly at the time when it is received, it's changed to INR or your local currency, which CoinSecure today does it in INR, of course, that's a local currency. So you don't hold it at any cost for even a second, because if you hold it for even a second, then you have to, experience the volatility of that. Might go up or down, that's a risk that you would like to take. But a lot of people, like I said, don't want to take the risk, and they want to make sure that their 1,000 rupees of product gets 1,000 rupees into their bank. That's how CoinSecure, with the help of BitPay, is doing it. You register, you receive your crypto is instantly, as soon as it's received, into the wallet of CoinSecure, will be changed to local currency, and local currency will be sent to you to your bank account.
Okay, and Shradul asks, will India ban cryptocurrency?
India can come up with anything, right? India, I don't think will ban cryptocurrency. They might come up with a nicer regulation. The reason India will not ban is because you have to understand the technology behind it. We are trying to use the technology, that's the blockchain. Blockchain is very famous, and blockchain has been adopted by a lot of companies and a lot of governments. And Indian, SBI, if you see, SBI is a very huge banking sector, and they're using blockchain. Bitcoin is just an experiment on the blockchain. So if your first ever Bitcoin is not accepted, there'll be other cryptocurrencies. You have to wait and watch and see what kind of regulation they'll come up with. If they, I'm not too this one worried about what regulation will come up. Regulations will change eventually, because if you see, it's exactly like internet. If you can ban the internet because internet can be used by bad apples, same as you Bitcoin. The regulation should be how to set up a team where this team can track a bad apples of users of cryptocurrency. So that should be the next move Indian government should do. As a whole, I don't see any bad apples using cryptocurrencies to do anything bad right now, and there's nothing come up in open. That's how even internet is, right? Internet shows that there's better ways to use internet than the bad ways. Even if they are, that's already been overtaken. Same with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies were used by the bad apples according to some regulators in the past. But in 2012, by end of 12 and beginning of 13 itself, the good economy of cryptocurrency had overtaken the bad economy, and all these good products have been sold and bought, and cryptocurrency being held as assets, and all those things have been happening already.
Okay, and Suresh asked, can we mine different cryptos using the same machine? If it's possible, what are the machines and how do we get those?
Yes, there are three main types of machines today. One is CPU, one is GPU, one is ASIC. CPU is nothing but your computers. All that laptops and computers that we use are all running on CPU, centralized processing units. Then your GPUs, graphic processing units. Graphic processing units used by a lot of people on desktops, few on the laptops. Your desktops it's used on the desktop more often is because you're trying to kind of gaming enthusiasts and things like that. Those things, the GPUs help in those. ASICs are application specific integrated circuits or chips. Those are produced only for the cryptocurrency mining. So the ASIC ones are very specific to your crypto. When you say very specific, ASIC chips for Bitcoin is very specific to Bitcoin only. But now you can use it for Bitcoin Cash and whatever Bitcoin splits that will happen, like gold. I don't know what that's about. But those kind of cryptocurrencies, you can share that hardware to do those minings, and you can switch between them. If you had GPUs, there are a lot of cryptocurrencies which regulate their crypto, the way its algorithms are written, and the technology used in terms of their SHA-256 and things like that. Those regulate them to be used only on graphic cards. So if that happens, those particular altcoins cannot move ahead of graphic cards. At the level of graphic cards, I think there are many cryptos that you can mine with the same graphic cards. All you need is just like two different pool. Like one could be a Litecoin pool, one could be a Dashcoin pool. I'm just giving you an example. Dash might not be on GPU, or Litecoin might not be on GPU. I'm just giving you this example.
Ethereum and Litecoins are on GPU.
So we got that answer. So from Prajwal, Ethereum is on on GPU, and I know that Litecoin was also on GPU because when Litecoin started, he made it ASIC resistant. So Charlie Lee, that is, I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so
even Verticoin is also there on GPU.
GPUs. So Verticoin, I think many coins are there on GPU, much more than your ASIC. So you can just switch between them. So what I was giving example was you can download one software from a Litecoin mining pool and one from the Ethereum mining pool, and you can just switch between the two.
Yeah, but it's not recommended to do that. A reason being, the energy in India is just not that cheap.
Yeah.
It does take a lot of, and the return on investment for your mining, I don't think you'll cut it.
Yeah. So but it's our experience. We have personal experience also in mining in India. It's not profitable at all. The day when you set up, you're thinking that you're going to be profitable, you might be getting X amount of crypto. Within a month, that X amount of crypto will divide itself by 1,000 times and it'll drop to that level. So that's how quickly people are setting up computers and hardware for crypto mining around the world.
Saurabh has a good question. He says, are you aware of any blockchain startups that are working on some real world use cases, not only around money or value?
Yes. So, if not on money and value, that means you're saying outside the sector of banking. Infosys is one of them who are using it. They're building it in a lot of other sectors too, which they're not completely disclosed everything. There is another place where blockchain is used is in your auditing and accounting firm. Again, if you think it's related with money, that's just one of the ways also. But other ways, it's like blockchain can be used everywhere. So
Yeah,
I
for
guess
example,
some
even Steam is
examples.
also using it to build, is already built a open source social media. But I think
Okay.
Saurabh is specifically asking from India, are there any startups that
Mm.
are actually building? So one we spoke about the education sector, ICO
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
coming up,
yeah. The 8 coin.
that coin, yes.
So there was this the crypto that's ICO is planned to be launched. Me and Prajal both actually met those guys. They are working on it on the blockchain to help educational material to go on it. That's partly done in India.
So
Um,
that's basically like your online courses being
yeah,
open
yeah,
source on it's on the blockchain, just like Udemy or any other courses, so that everybody can have access to the courses and
exactly.
the
Yeah.
prices of the courses are also less.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's one of
So this particular blockchain will have its own value currency too. So with that value currency, they are trying to do it easier for people to switch between the content users and the content producers, so that they can transfer values for themselves. Like if you're putting out a good content, you should be able to receive that kind of value for your content instantly from a user perspective, and a user can use that particular crypto on that particular blockchain and then transfer it. Yes, that's a use case. I completely forgot that. Any other you remember? That
at the
is,
moment. No, the one we spoke about, the power ledger, that was from Australia again.
yeah,
That's based
yeah,
on energy again.
yeah,
So yeah, a lot of usually ICOs are surrounding this finance and value and
yeah.
money. This thing, there are very few from India, especially coming up with this. But I think one was also from Belferix who are doing a KYC
Or
kind of
related,
ICO
yes, yes.
related ICOs that's coming up. So that's another thing to look out for. But nothing materialized yet. So we might have to. It's still in beginning stages.
You're right,
We'll
yeah,
have
yeah.
to wait and
So they're
see.
all in testing stages. Blockchain is completely new if you understand that. So let's see how and which one will become really scalable and fixes the global issue.
Okay, and Priyank asks, since Indian government stand on cryptocurrencies skeptical right now, is it wise to invest in them, or should we wait till the things become clear?
It's your personal opinion. If you want to wait, you can wait, because there is nothing like you cannot get into your crypto later. It's like the internet. You can get into internet and use the internet for your business at any point of time. Nobody ever thinks that internet, oh, you're too late to the internet, there are already too many people. No, it's never like that. Cryptocurrency also brings in that kind of scenario. You got to wait and watch and then see what the government says and then get into crypto. That's how you want to be. That's good enough. Don't think that you're too late for it, because if you see a lot of people, 99% of the people today think they're too late already. Looking at the price of Bitcoin, I have to tell you this one small story that happened to me when I was trying to understand about Bitcoin in 2009 and 10. It was my first few beginning years, right? There was nobody to explain, nothing to understand from anybody. I had to just read on online and see what people are saying about it. At that time, Bitcoin price was 50 cents, equivalent to 30 rupees in Indian rupees. Guess what people said at that time on forums? They said Bitcoin price is too much. We're too late for it. We're not going to buy Bitcoin because it's already 30 rupees per Bitcoin. That's kind of a thing people said. So that's a similar scenario even today is at. I know it is close to 6 lakhs. 6 lakhs is a lot of money, but looking at how the projection is about the cryptocurrency, it's going to gain much more value in future. So it might even drop from this 6 lakhs, because the history says that the fluctuation of this crypto goes really high at one time, and then eventually it corrects itself by dropping and picking up again. It takes good 2 to 3 years for some time to correct itself. While it's correcting, you can still buy in into. I hope I answered your question. Don't worry about it. You can wait and watch, and then you can buy it. Any other
And
questions, Praja?
that's it, I guess.
I think there are a lot more. I think repeatedly coming up with similar questions.
Yeah, I think that's the questions we have skipped actually.
Yeah. So we did skip a few. If you think your question is unique and you've not been answered, and if you still want to ask that question, please type in again. Shall Bitcoin gold also trade? Yeah, they were specifically in about Bitcoin Gold, we're trying to do on GPU. We don't know yet what if it's really failed or not. It might still come up. Right now, it is not something which has become mainstream. Only Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash are the leading cryptos, including Ethereum for that matter.
I think that's it, I guess.
Well, I think we just crossed an hour too. That was our time that we had. Any other questions? You can quickly come up with it here. We'll answer that for you.
Saying Suresh asked, why is Ripple price so stable?
Okay, Ripple price is stable for many reasons. One of them is because it is centralized, so their price is more predicted than discovered. What I mean by that is if you allow anything to flourish in an open market, your demand and supply meets at one price, and that's how the price discovery happens. If you allow that to happen, is the best way for any kind of commerce, any kind of economics to grow very well in that particular region. If you centralize it and if you predict the price, it can stay stable for a few people who think stable is better, which it's not. I'll tell you why. But otherwise, yeah, that's the reason. So if I want to answer that why stable and unstable thing, if I can put it right, it's one is fluctuation, one is not as much. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are all fluctuating, right? What does the fluctuation bring to the market? It brings great trading platform for everybody, trading tool. If something is not fluctuating, nobody likes to trade that. So that's something is very unique about cryptocurrency. The fluctuation of it is very high, helping the traders to trade. So also what fluctuation does is it does not affect in terms of making Bitcoin or cryptocurrency as a payment tool. So what I mean by that is if I use Bitcoin to make some payments to an X product and that product is happy to receive as Bitcoin, and they're linked to an exchange, like I was explaining this a little before about how CoinSecure provides this payment gateway. You will never see the fluctuation of it because cryptocurrency moves instantly. It reaches your payment gateway instantly. It's changed from your crypto to local INR instantly. So all that happens in a second. So you will not see any fluctuation. And the real fluctuation that's there helps in trading. So it's all good for the crypto.
Yeah. Pramod has an interesting question. He says, will Bitcoin ever switch to proof of stake? And what happens to Bitcoin and other currency prices if that switch happens?
Okay, but Bitcoin moving to proof of stake might be possible. Otherwise, I think 90% of the times, no, it is not possible. Is because why Bitcoin holds such a value is because the amount of background that it holds, and it's more stable and it's more grounded. It's because one of them is the kind of hardware that goes behind it, the kind of proof of work that goes behind it. Because the proof of work is how you're not able to counterfeit it or double spend it. So if you take out that and then put in a proof of a stake, you might be able to see some changes in it, which no Bitcoin user or the miner or the developer wants to risk that. There are a few cryptos which is working on proof of stake, like even Ethereum, I think moved from proof of work to proof of stake, right?
It's not moved yet. The Metropolis, the second part of Metropolis, Constantinople, is
about
due to happen. So after that, we can see how the proof of stake works on Ethereum.
Okay.
There are a few proof of stake coins like Peercoin and other coins, which have not just taken off yet. So not all coins are actually looking out for proof of stake at the moment. But if something on the likes of Ethereum gets successful on proof of stake, I think other coins will definitely look into that.
So if you see, Ethereum also holds a lot of value. So if Ethereum moves completely now successfully on proof of stake and then does a great job, then why not? Even Bitcoin might look into that. But today, I think Bitcoin spends all that energy and the hardware and those things. Those things are the ones which makes it stable and backing those things for the value itself. That's why the Bitcoin price is at that price. Otherwise, the price will drop. So for those reasons, I think we'll have to wait and see what happens in the future.
Okay.
Guys, you got a minute more. So make the best of it and then we'll...
What's your view on Zencash? Have you heard of Zencash.io?
Okay, it could be one of those cryptos. There are about 1,000 cryptos being listed on this, 1,000 plus, 1,500, right?
Yes.
In coin market cap. So there are many cryptos that's coming up today. Every day there is an ICO. Think about in 1 year there'll be another 1,000 ICOs that have been thrown. So there are many, but you'll have to wait and see how this particular coin does. After a little while is when you would know, with time only you would know if they are trying to cheat or if they are allowing people to come up with it together and use it. Certain things are very important for you to see in a new altcoin. Is it open source? Is there codes open for public through GitHub and other places where
In ASIC hardware and put more power on it.
Okay, so it is not unfair right now, because unfair means you should be able to buy Bitcoin, your hardware here in India. Can you even buy those ASIC hardwares here in India, manufactured in India? No, you cannot, because those manufacturing units are not even in India. It's only in China. So we will have to now bow down to Chinese, manufacturers and then buy ASIC from them to start with. That kind of advantage is definitely there for China, but China is a big market, and I think China is very smartly using crypto. Before even Bitcoin was there, China was already using crypto called QQ coins. That's a social network and a crypto by itself. So Chinese were ahead of us in terms of ahead of even Bitcoin. For them, Bitcoin being Bitcoin has come up as they were waiting for it. I think they were like anything that is not centralized by the government. So I think Bitcoin just came along and then said, okay, here is your crypto, which is not centralized like QQ. Start using them, and that's how it got embraced in China. But yeah, there will be a certain little advantage that'll be there. But don't think that it is only for that's going to be forever. It changes with time. Okay. Do we have any other anything that needs to be answered? You can just type it.
That's it. You can tell people to check out more on coin on indie crypto.
Yeah. So guys, thank you very much. It was great interacting on live session. It was a great meetup too. I think thanks to Prajwal, he was helping us with messaging on our message board, and also picked up the questions. Also had a lot of knowledge that I had missed out on, because it's a deep research that you have to get into. You can't really understand everything at any given time. The research is an ongoing process. Well, thanks to everybody, and thanks Prajwal again. If you want any more information while we are not on the meetup and while you're waiting, you can look up IndieCrypto and indiecrypto.com. Post your questions there, or go into IndieCrypto channel of YouTube/IndieCrypto, and then look at the videos. If your question is specific to one of those videos, just write your question below it. We will answer that. We'll even make videos, short-term videos to answer those kind of questions. Well, that's it then. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend, guys. Bye bye.